Hillsboro, Oregon, and he has been impressive lately, Eric Ainge.
Yeah, Eric Ainge. I mean, you're not supposed to play this well as a true freshman. He's already engineered wins against Florida last week. Goes in and against David Green and the number 3 rated Georgia Bulldogs pulls the upset. Way ahead of his years.
He opens with Gerald Riggs as the tailback behind him. Riggs gets the handoff and through a hole on the right side. The ball's on the ground. The Rebels say they have it. And the official saying no, he was down. Riggs was down by contact. So Tennessee retains possession at the 27-yard line. Kelvin Robinson made the tackle for Ole Miss.
The one thing Tennessee cannot afford is to put the football on the ground. Kelvin Robinson on the hit here. And that ball was, that's close. That's very, very close.
Gain of 5 for Riggs. He gets the handoff again. Stayed on his feet by putting his hand down to the ground and got a first down across the 31-yard line. Gerald Riggs has been coming on lately. Last week against Georgia, rushed for 102 yards and seems to be taking over the featured back role from Cedric Houston. First and 10, Tennessee. Ainge, 6'6", 200 pounds. Has been alternating through much of the season at quarterback with Brent Schaefer, but lately it's been Ainge taking the vast majority of the snaps. Riggs tackled after a short gain by the defensive tackle Michael Bozeman, the junior from Hawkinsville, Georgia.
Very clear what Philip Fulmer and the Tennessee Volunteer offensive plan is. Offensive coordinator Randy Sanders, they're going to come out and get in traditional formation with 2 backs and simply run the football. Now they're going to spread the field a little bit with a bunch formation.
3 receivers close to the line of scrimmage on the left, a single receiver to the right as Ainge goes out of the shotgun and throws for first down to Jason Swain, number 1, the sophomore from Huntsville, Alabama. They'll give him the 43-yard line and another first and 10.
Here's a different strategy. You see the field is spread, 4 wide receivers, 1 to the left, 1 to the right, 3 to the left. A simple little hook right in the middle of the zone, and they're going to see a lot of zone tonight. Ainge showing that accuracy, that unerring accuracy, so rare for a true freshman.
He's going to pass out of the I formation, throwing into one-on-one coverage, and it's incomplete. They were going deep, looking for Chris Hannon, and Tennessee trying to take advantage of an Ole Miss defense that has been susceptible to the big play.
Yeah, last week against South Carolina, you take a look on the outside, these defensive backs had a very subpar day at South Carolina. And Savell Newton, the South Carolina quarterback, time and time again went upstairs, down the field, and these secondary players for Ole Miss did not play the ball well in the air.
On 2nd and 10, it's Riggs with a power run into Ole Miss territory. There's another of those big plays we talked about, given up by the Ole Miss defense. The safety, Charles Clark, made the tackle. But the gain goes all the way to the 33-yard line of Ole Miss, a 24-yard run.
Riggs runs right through the tackle of Brian Lester, number 57. This is just power running. Lester getting off a block late. You cannot stick an arm out. A guy like Gerald Riggs will rip it off, just like his dad used to do.
His dad, Gerald Sr., 10-year NFL career, 3 times in the Pro Bowl. He rushed for more than 8,000 yards in the NFL. Riggs went out of the game, and Cedric Houston, who's been their leading rusher the last 2 years, carries to the 28-yard line. Another good gain on first down, nearly 5 for the Volunteers.
David, if Tennessee can come out here and just ram it down Ole Miss's throat, it's going to be a long night for the defensive squad.
Long evening, and when we visited with the Ole Miss defensive staff, they said we will do anything, even at the expense of giving up pass plays, to stop the run first.
They haven't stopped the run or the pass on this opening drive. Ainge, as usual, looking as poised as a freshman can be, has a man wide open, and it should have been a touchdown, but the receiver stumbled out of bounds. Tony Brown A 26-yard gain, and you talk about a bust in the secondary. There wasn't a red shirt anywhere near Smith. Brown, rather, pardon me.
Brown just comes clean to the outside. They ran a section pattern, inside receiver to the outside, to the flag, and Ainge led him a little bit wide to the outside, but give Ainge credit. He put a lot of air under the ball, made sure that he didn't overthrow his receiver.
26-yard gain. Moving along the line of scrimmage and a flag down. And the whistle stopped the play. The run did not count.
Part of the snaps. Offside in 96 on the defense. After this is the goal.
Welcome everybody to Oxford, Mississippi. Sold out Vaught Hemingway Stadium. Ole Miss and Tennessee. The Volunteers have taken the opening kickoff all the way down to the Ole Miss 1. They have it 1st and goal. Just underway in the first quarter. Up and into the end zone goes Gerald Riggs. Or check that, it's Jabari Davis who just checked in for his first carry of the night for Tennessee. Scoring a touchdown and capping Bill Curry and David Norrie. A very impressive drive that, if you're an Ole Miss fan, was much too easy.
Very impressive indeed with the running and the passing. Terrific blocking for the run by the guys up front, and nice accuracy by Eric Ainge, the young quarterback.
James Wilhoit on for the extra point. And it is up and good. 9 plays, 78 yards, and a 1-yard touchdown run by Jabari Davis, the senior from Stone Mountain, Georgia, his 2nd touchdown of the season. And some big gainers along the way, and that's been a problem all season long for the Ole Miss defense. They've been susceptible to the big play. This was a run by Gerald Riggs of 24 yards. They had a pass play from Eric Ainge to Tony Brown of 26 yards that got them down on the doorstep and would have been a touchdown had Brown been able to stay on his feet. And welcome everybody. Sean McDonough with Bill Curry and David Norrie. First meeting since 1997 between Tennessee and Ole Miss, and a lot of common bonds here tonight, including the friendship between the two coaches, Philip Fulmer and David Cutcliffe. They've known each other for 25 years. They coached together in Tennessee for 17. A lot of emotion, Bill, for these two men tonight.
A lot of emotion and a lot of competition. Each of them mentioned, yeah, we're buddies, but it'll be very competitive tonight. We want to see if Cutcliffe can pull another rabbit out of the hat, or maybe 3 rabbits like he did last weekend, David, with his 3-quarterback system.
Well, if he's going to have success tonight, and if Ole Miss is going to have success tonight, Ethan Flatt, really the passing quarterback out of 3, he's going to have success keeping this Tennessee defense loose in the passing game. It'll be a question of whether they can protect him and give him time in the pocket.
And the kickoff comes down to Mike Espy near the 5-yard line. He's an excellent return man, but he's had leg injuries lately that have slowed him. And he brought the kickoff out to the 21-yard line. Ethan Flatt will be the starter, but we expect to see both backup quarterbacks, Spurlock and Lane. They rotated in 1 for each of the first 3 plays last week in their upset win against South Carolina. That got them to 3-3 for the year and 2-1 in the SEC. A 31-28 victory. Flatt's a sophomore from Nashville, Tennessee. Tall and skinny at 6'6". They list him at 220 pounds. That might be generous. Play action pass against the blitz, and he's smothered back at the 7-yard line. Kevin Burnett, the linebacker, leading the blitz for Tennessee. A loss of 12.
One of the things that Ole Miss has been good at recently is protecting their quarterback. Kevin Burnett, number 2, the defensive captain, already graduated from the University of Tennessee. He's a bright football player, and he reads this. I think he may have come on his own there, David. He just saw the opening, the play action fake, and just exploded into the quarterback and made a nice open field tackle.
Tennessee, off its rousing win on the road at Georgia last week, looked sharp here in the first 4 minutes. And that continues to be the case. No room for Brandon Jacobs, just trying to get them some positive yardage. He ran into Paris Harrelson, part of the excellent front four for the Tennessee defense. The starting lineups brought to you by Bud Light. Backs and receivers for Ole Miss, Pearson, but it's a group that has been hampered by injury. Johnson and Buckles are four-year starters. Flat throws, man open, and the catch made. Big play for the Rebels out to the 42 on the completion to Kerry Johnson. A 37-yard pickup.
Now this is a gutty call, and ordinarily in this situation you want to be safe with the football. Third and very long. Inside receiver Johnson down the gut of the defense, and what a ball from Flat. He dropped that ball right in between the safeties, and quite a route by Kerry Johnson, and Flat stood in and took a big hit in the pocket.
Flat described Ethan after that throw. Flat on his back. The handoff to LaShawn Pearson, and he's stopped by Jesse Mahalona, part of the front four that was tremendous last week against Georgia. Philip Fulmer singled out that group for praise. Burnett, an All-American caliber player, one of the semifinalists for the Butkus Award as the best linebacker in the country. And if there's a weakness, it's that very young secondary with freshmen at the corners, Fellows and Hefty, but they held their own against the third-ranked Bulldogs in Athens last week. A loss of 2 on first down. Play action pass again for Flat, and it's incomplete over the head of Mario Hill.
Sean, you mentioned last week how this Tennessee defensive front, they just hounded David Green in Georgia all night long. And when you have young defensive backs in the secondary, they grow up in a hurry when you get that type of pressure up front. I think the key to tonight's game, can Ole Miss protect their quarterback? They've only given up 4 sacks on the year coming into this football game.
They've had one already tonight. They had not given up a sack in the previous 2 games. David Cutcliffe said we need to get better on third down conversions. Last year we were best in the SEC. This year we're worst. Movement, and it looked like the balls were offside.
Just a little bit. Sometimes those guys get jumpy. Not accusing Chris of that, but some centers have been guilty of such.
You probably taught him a few of your old tricks. 4 wide receivers on third down. Flat's pass is intercepted. Picked off at the 45-yard line by Brandon Johnson. With Eli Manning in attendance, all 3 of the Mannings, the great quarterbacks Archie Manning and his sons Peyton and Eli, are here tonight. By a quirk in the NFL schedule, both the Indianapolis Colts of Peyton Manning and the New York Giants of Eli Manning have a bye week. So they are able to come to this game, and it happens to work out. It's the first meeting between these 2 schools since 1997.
Imagine the odds against both those teams being off and these 2 teams playing.
From the 45, first and 10, Tennessee. Gerald Riggs spins ahead. They'll mark him down at the 48 after a gain of 3. Chopped down by Kelvin Robinson. Eric Ainge is the starting quarterback for Tennessee. Earlier in the year, rotating with Brent Schaefer, a fellow true freshman, but Ainge has been outstanding of late. Randy Sanders, the offensive coordinator, said it's unbelievable how quickly he is developing. So he has seen the bulk of the playing time. Well, Schaefer got in for just 1 series last week at Georgia. We do expect to see Schaefer and all 3 quarterbacks for Ole Miss tonight. We expect to see 5 quarterbacks. And I don't remember ever broadcasting a game where we expected to see 5 quarterbacks in the game. The Bud Light offense for Tennessee. Riggs has supplanted Cedric Houston as the starter. It's a deep group of wide receivers with no particular #1 threat. And up front, an offensive line dealing with injuries. They're without Cody Douglas, a starting guard ordinarily tonight. Capable backups, and a line that also played well last week with the injuries in Georgia. Munoz left that game. He's back in there starting with a sore knee tonight. The pass caught, close to a first down. It's Derek Tinsley with his 8th catch of the year. Now the Ole Miss defense, prone, that has been under siege. They're particularly having difficulty with the jump ball. The other teams, guys, are just throwing the ball up for grabs, knowing that their receivers will out jump and pull the ball away from those Ole Miss defenders. Ainge with the coverage way off, completes one to C.J. Payton. Ainge says he has the best receiving group in the country to work with. Maybe not a clear #1 target, but a group that's about 8 deep with a lot of talent.
Yes, they are. And here's a little eccentricity for people that are interested in line play. Those guys are in their three-point stances, and they have to stay there 15 or 20 seconds while the play calling process goes on very often. And we talked to Munoz, and he said, man, those thighs start burning.
On second down, Riggs dropped for a loss back to the 40-yard line. A loss of 2. Jamie Mitchell, the defensive end, came flying across the line of scrimmage.
Bill, Ole Miss is an 8-man defensive front. They're going to bring it up on the line of scrimmage, but there are going to be some shots down the field in the passing game.
Third down and 7, 3 wide receivers. The Rebels blitz, one-on-one coverage. And that time the defense did the job. Well done by Travis Johnson as he was running stride for stride with C.J. Payton. It'll be 4th down and 7.
David, you called it. The ball's going to go down the field when you get man coverage, but Travis Johnson is expecting the deep route. He plays it perfectly. He's got the receiver on his outside hip, and as he feels that receiver, he turns back, makes a play on the football, and consequently no interference. Charles Clark, number 20, did exactly the same thing on the other side of the field on the last fly pattern we saw. So it bodes well that they've been coached well this week.
In perfect position on the field for a fake, and there it is. A completion to Chris Hannon by the punter Dustin Colquitt. 19-yard gain. Fulmer into his bag of tricks against his old buddy David Cutcliffe. 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line, and everything about that situation cried out for a great opportunity for a fake.
Well, it was just unbelievable. They're in a safe punt situation. Normally what happens is your defense goes out there and you just play normal defense and you roll up and you have a corner in that receiver's face and you don't let the punter throw that ball. That was a coaching error, a tactical mistake by the Ole Miss coaching staff. Really unforgivable.
And as a result, the possession continues for the Vols, already leading 7-0. Riggs bounces off the pile. He may take it to the house. Touchdown, Tennessee. It looked like they had Riggs at the line of scrimmage, but they couldn't get him on the ground. He runs 21 for a score, and now James Wilhoit, sophomore from Hendersonville, Tennessee, with the extra point. That makes it 14-0. The fake punt kept the possession alive, and they needed just one play after the fake punt to score again. 14-0 Volunteers in the first quarter in Oxford. Terrific start for Eric Ainge and the Tennessee Volunteers. Just past the midway point of the first quarter. The Vols lead 14-0. The second touchdown set up by this fake punt that caught Ole Miss totally asleep.
That's right. That's the punter, Dustin Colquitt, lobbing the ball out to Chris Hannon, number 13. Ole Miss was in a punt return formation when they should have been in a regular defense. That's normally the assignment of the defensive staff, and that was basically a free gift. They looked out there, Colquitt saw he was uncovered, made his call, made a nice little throw. If there'd have been a corner out there, it would have never happened.
And the kickoff comes down to Mike Espy. And a late flag thrown. Espy brought it out to the 31. They might bring it back. 26-yard return.
Tuesday.
You're watching ESPN2 College Football Saturday primetime. Tennessee taking on Ole Miss. The 14th ranked Volunteers looking to continue their quest for the SEC championship. The Rebels trying to prove that their upset win over South Carolina last week wasn't a fluke. Be sure to join Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, and Kirk Herbstreit on ESPN's College Game Day, built by home.
Type S and Intel Centrino mobile technology.
We saw one of the great tailgating venues in all of college football, the Grove here in Oxford, Mississippi. Then the Champions Walk, the Ole Miss football team from the Grove, just a short distance to Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. Tennessee is dominating with big plays both on the ground and through the air. They stick with the run. And it's Cedric Houston, the senior from Clarendon, Arkansas, tackled by Corvelli Haynes after a short gain, a gain of a yard.
Sean, you pointed out the Grove and the walk and all that tradition, which is really marvelous, but added to that is the most remarkable addition to the facilities here, the locker room and indoor workout place. Unbelievable facilities improvement at Ole Miss.
They're expanding the stadium regularly in recent years with the successes of the football program. And they've just completed an $18 million indoor football facility right next door. Here's Matt Weiner.
Sean, the nation's long.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. After a loss of a yard for Houston, 3rd down and 10.
David Crockett's here.
And 4 wide receivers with the blitz coming for Ole Miss. Haynes just got it off, and a miscommunication with the receiver. He threw it in the general direction of Jason Swain, but Swain was heading to the middle of the field. The pass went to the sideline. The pressure from the linebacker, Brian Lester.
With all the success that Eric Ainge has had early in this season, Ole Miss defensive coaches, what was the first thing they said about him? He doesn't take sacks. He doesn't have an open receiver. Great pressure from the Ole Miss defensive front. Ainge is disciplined and just throws that one away.
He was the nephew of the former NBA standout Danny Ainge, now the director of basketball operations for the Boston Celtics. Colquitt will punt this time. Not his best. Fair catch made by Espy on the run at the 42-yard line. A 38-yard punt, but as is often the case against Tennessee, no return. Held the Gamecocks 28-24 with just more than a minute to go. 4th down and 10 from the 29. Bill Flowers caught the pass from Ethan Flatt. First touchdown reception by a South Carolina wide receiver all season. And it was the winning margin in their upset victory over the Gamecocks that got them to 3-3 overall. Coach Cutcliffe said, "My team hasn't been energized this year." That victory, he hopes, will energize them. They played with enthusiasm last week. He's hoping it carries over tonight, and they seem to be surviving an early storm here. Here's Lane showing that running ability we talked about. Robert Lane ahead for 10. The road wins for both of these teams obviously improved their situations. In the SEC East, it's Tennessee in the driver's seat. Philip Fulmer had a great quote about that. He said, "We are in the driver's seat in the East with a victory over Georgia, but we don't have the keys to go anywhere right now." Still a long way to go, and Ole Miss keeping pace with Auburn. An impressive winner today against Arkansas. They seem to be the class of the West, maybe the class of the entire SEC this year. Up the middle for 5 more goes Vashawn Pearson. We're in the final 30 seconds of the first quarter. Tennessee leads 14-0. And Lane still in the ball game. Very highly recruited player out of Louisiana. He was also a top baseball prospect. Speculation was he might be a first-round pick in the Major League Baseball draft, but his family told baseball teams don't bother. He's going to Ole Miss to play quarterback. And that's the end of the quarter. Tennessee dominated early. It seemed that Ole Miss over the last 6 minutes or so stabilized their situation at least a little bit. 14-0 Vols after 15 minutes. We'll return with more from Oxford, Mississippi. ESPN2 College Football Saturday primetime right after this. Volunteers looking to continue their quest for the SEC championship. The Rebels trying to prove that their upset win over South Carolina last week wasn't a fluke. Be sure to join Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, and Square, the centerpiece of this beautiful town. At its heart, the Lafayette County Courthouse, rebuilt in 1873 after it was burned to the ground by Union forces in 1864. This is a beautiful town and one of the most gorgeous campuses in America.
This is one of the most special trips you can make in the country.
Oxford, Mississippi, in north central Mississippi, about 70 miles from Memphis. Sean Pearson took a handoff from Ethan Flatt. Had no gain on the play. Flatt started. He has seen most of the action. Georgia's 44th career game as both a running back and receiver. Nowhere to go for Gerald Riggs. Dropped for a loss of a yard or two. Tremaine McBride up from his corner with help from Corey Robinson.
Really good job by the right side of the defensive line there. 96 Corey Robinson, 72 Michael Bozeman. Just taking those big guys, Munoz, Rob Smith, and knocking them in the backfield and bouncing the ball out to McBride, who came up with the tackle for the loss. There it is. Look, the whole offensive line was moved backward. That's good defense. Great job by Corey Robinson.
Haynes on second down steps up. One-on-one coverage again. And no flag thrown with some contact. Pass intended for Brett Smith. He was covered by Travis Johnson. Here's Matt Weiner.
Hi.
All right, thank you very much. As usual in that part of the country, wild high-scoring affair. Third down and 11. Ainge throws a little bit off target. He was looking for C.J. Phaeton, a junior from Virginia Beach. But the pass a little bit high and away, and the ball sent the punt team on. As we know, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll punt, but we don't often see two fake punts in one half.
Well, what you'll see this time is an Ole Miss, what we call safe punt. They'll line up in a regular defense, which is what they should have done the first time.
Dustin Colquitt, consensus All-American last season. Their opponents are averaging 1 yard per punt return. Best coverage in the nation, and this is a reason why. He hits it so high, there's no chance to return it. Espy called for a fair catch and made it at the 18-yard line, a 33-yard punt that scraped the clouds. 14-0 Tennessee in the second quarter in Oxford. 33 after it was burned to the ground by Union forces in 1864. This is a beautiful town and one of the most gorgeous campuses in America.
This is one of the most special trips you can make in the country.
Oxford, Mississippi, in north central Mississippi, about 70 miles from Memphis. Sean Pearson took a handoff from Ethan Flatt. Had no gain on the play. Flatt started. He has seen most of the action. Lane seemed to give them a spark with his running ability on the 11 plays for which he was in.
And when you're down 14 points, tough to have a quarterback in the game when you can't change his launch points, and you have Flatt dropping back. 14-point lead. Tennessee's going to turn loose the pass rush. I think Lane and Spurlock can keep them off balance until they tighten up this football game.
Coach Cutcliffe likes the way Flatt manages the game. He'd like to see more velocity and accuracy in his throwing, particularly with the deep ball, but he's working to tighten his throwing motion. Crowd doesn't like the call as Lorenzo Townsend is tackled by Omar Gaither after a gain of 2.
Townsend's got a shot at a little bit longer gain here, but he really dances in the hole. A little bit of a problem with the center quarterback exchange. We'll talk about that, but you see that ever-present Kevin Burnett, number 2, stepping up to make the tackle. Problems with the gun snaps with Chris Spencer, the center, this year. A little too high very often.
Flatt with a lot of time. Nice throw. First down. Excellent delivery to Kerry John.
Flatt sitting in the pocket, being patient and fitting that ball into a tight space.
First time he's had decent protection tonight.
Play action pass. He's looking deep. He throws into double coverage, and it is incomplete. But he's very fortunate it was not intercepted. Jason Allen had the primary coverage on Bill Flowers and also had help.
Wow.
And that easily could have been picked off.
Yeah, Flowers.
David, you don't throw that one, do you?
No, you don't let that go. Flowers not only was covered, he was covered by 2 defenders. I mean, I can't imagine the picture that Flatt saw that registered with him to let that ball go. And as a quarterback, especially against this defense, take what they give you. Get off of covered receivers, come down to the second level, and you'll have some opportunities.
Flatt continues on 2nd and 10 from the 34. A quick pass out to Mario Hill. And he's across the 40 to the 41, maybe even the 42. They will spot it down to the 41. That'll bring up 3rd down and 3. A rough start to this game for Ole Miss. They've played the last 15 minutes relatively evenly against Tennessee. Fell behind 14-0 early on more big plays against David Cutcliffe's defense.
And that's a nice play by Mario Hill to give him 3rd and short. He sort of picked up the slack while Bill Flowers was injured. Now they got the services of both of those fine wide receivers.
4 wide receivers. Towns in the back, lined up to the left with Flatt. Design roll away from the rush, and the pass too high for Mario Hill.
I'm trying to change the launch points. As I said, with Flatt, such speed coming off the edge by Tennessee that even when you move the pocket, you're not going to have a lot of time. Flatt was forced to get rid of that ball early and did not have a very good look outside.
So if the play is to roll out and throw on the run to the left, wouldn't you have one of your quarterbacks who throws better on the run in the game to do that?
Well,
I
think that Flatt is the guy they feel gives them the best chance to complete balls, but they're going to have to keep with the 3 quarterback rotation.
Cody Ridgway. His punt is muffed. It was muffed by Jonathan Hefney, and the Rebels have it inside the 15-yard line. Larry Kendrick came up with the football. They'll mark it at the 16.
The reason it's marked at the 16 is because you cannot advance a muff.
And that's why they're going to actually bring it. They put it down originally at the 16. Now they'll bring it out at the point of the muff, which is the 24-yard line.
That's right. And there's a difference in a muff and a fumble. When you don't have control of the football, if you just touched it, that's categorized as a muff. The ball is given to the recovering team at the point of the muff and not where the player advances it.
Looked like Hefney took a peek at the punt coverage before the ball arrived, and he flat fanned out.
Wouldn't you take a peek? I would.
They'd never have me returning punts, Bill.
Lane back in there, quarterback draw. He's been the spark tonight at quarterback, and he is in for a touchdown. Four-yard run, so a fake punt. Actually, they're going to spot him out at the 3.
Yeah, they signaled touchdown. You were right,
They
Sean.
did. The official on the near side signaled touchdown. He must have been overruled.
He's helped out by the
official.
He was helped out by the linesman late.
The crowd just realizing that now, and that's why you start to hear the booing.
And it's huge against this Tennessee front because it's no foregone conclusion that they can knock it in here. They have to take it in.
Brandon Jacobs powering down inside the 1. He's their best back in short yardage and goal line. Boy, that was bizarre. The official on the near side signaled touchdown. The crowd went crazy, as you saw, for a long stretch of time.
Just stepped out with his left foot.
What a good call.
That is a great job of
What a good
official.
call by the official. Look at this. This is the kind of thing that officials get paid to do. You got to see these things, and it's very difficult.
Well, he's clearly out of bounds.
He's out of bounds.
The field judge right on top of the play, Mike Washington, signaled touchdown. One of his colleagues came to his aid. And a timeout called by Tennessee. Philip Fulmer didn't like the alignment or personnel of his defense as they were lining up in this goal-to-go situation from inside the 1. Second and goal Lane thought he had his second career touchdown. The first drive of the game, very impressive by Tennessee. 9 plays to go, nearly 80 yards for the touchdown. The pass play to Brown, the big play that got them down close. An interception thrown by Flatt, a fake punt. Colquitt to Hannon, led to a touchdown by Riggs. Nichols a missed field goal. For much of the first half, it hasn't gone very well, but we used the phrase earlier. I think it still applies. It looks like Ole Miss has survived that early storm when it appeared it could be heading toward a blowout.
But they've kept right on playing hard. They've tightened up their defense really measurably, and they need this touchdown desperately. Needless to say.
They thought they had it. The crowd thought they had it. The officials called it correctly. Now it's 2nd and goal. Lane still the quarterback. Jacobs with a flag down. Touchdown.
This is normally offsides on the defense when it comes from out there, but let's let the officials give us the call.
It looks like it's going to be offsides, Bill.
Offside, number 91 on the defense. That's declined. Give a touchdown.
Ron Harris offside, so the touchdown stands for Jacobs, his 5th of the season.
The quarterbacks for Ole Miss have done a great job with their cadence, the snap count. Once again, Lane utilizing the snap count, drawing Tennessee into the neutral zone.
And Nichols with the extra point up and good, adding to his school record. 111 straight PATs for Jonathan Nichols. That's the longest active streak for an individual kicker in the country. How about Auburn? They had a span of 209 straight PATs over several kickers that ended today with a miss. Brandon Jacobs, his team-leading 5th rushing touchdown of the season. The junior from Long Beach, Mississippi. And Ole Miss is on the board. They survived the early onslaught from the Vols. They were within a touchdown with 5 minutes to go till halftime. Sean McDonough with Bill Curry, David Norrie, Alex Flanagan. Delighted to have you with us. Crowd of better than 60,000, standing room only at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford. Larkin runs back the kickoff, and Corey was tripped up as he crossed the 20-yard line. Tonight, live to him, he played very well Thursday against Sacramento.
He's a beautiful athlete. What an amazing guy at his size, his grace.
Ainge appears to be changing the play, reminiscent of Peyton Manning by the line of scrimmage with some of his maneuvering tonight. And it's a gain of 2 for Gerald Riggs, tackled by Kelvin Robinson.
Now the mistake by Hefney, the muff on the punt. Ole Miss cashes in, really changes play calling for both teams. Take a look at Peyton Manning, and so much has been said about Eric Ainge taking over for Peyton Manning, not necessarily taking over for him, but again taking over the torch as a highly talented quarterback, and I think Ainge has the talent that Manning had as a freshman.
A handoff right up the middle, and nothing doing for Riggs as he ran into Michael Bozeman.
Big player like Bozeman, big hit in the backfield.
And a big play here. 3rd down and 9 from the 21 with the crowd roaring. Ainge trying to set up a screen. Well done. Robert Meacham all the way out to the 44. Beautifully executed, and an excellent call as well by Randy Sanders. A 22-yard gain, and the tackle made by Eric Oliver. There's Randy Sanders, the offensive coordinator who took that job over, promoted within the staff when David Cutcliffe left to come here to Ole Miss as the head coach.
You just don't see an athlete at 6'6" spin and make that throw. I mean, that is great vision and great athleticism in the pocket by Ainge.
Already 4 plays from scrimmage of 20 yards or more for Tennessee. And a nice catch by Meacham again. A high throw from Ainge, but Meacham, a former point guard in high school at Booker T. Washington in Tulsa, on a state championship team, made a nice reception for a 20-yard gain.
This is a tough play for Meacham. It's another beautiful throw, perfect throw. It's a 2 deep with a soft corner. Charles Clark coming to drill him in the sternum as he makes the catch.
reach him out with a well-earned breather. 4 wide receivers. They're very deep at wide receiver. 3 to the left. Ames with all kinds of time. Bad throw. And almost intercepted by Eric Oliver, the senior safety from Jasper, Alabama, leading active tackler in the SEC.
Well, he's looking for Phaeton down the field, and Phaeton doesn't look back. And when you're a young quarterback, you're working with some younger wide receivers. That was really an opportunity there for Eric Oliver to turn the tide once again for Ole Miss.
Ames threw 4 interceptions in their only loss at Auburn. 6 turnovers in that game against Auburn in Knoxville. Oh, almost another interception. This time by Kelvin Robinson, who would have taken that all the way to tie up the game, but he couldn't hang on. Back-to-back drops.
What Ole Miss's defense is doing is they're letting Ainge make his rookie mistakes, and they're not making him pay for them. 2 serious mistakes either between Ainge and his receivers. In this case, it's just Ainge refusing to see that that thing is so well covered. An easy touchdown for the Ole Miss defense. Mr. Robinson can hang on.
3rd down and 10 from the 36-yard line. A blitz. Ainge got away. Throws it up for grabs, and it is batted down by Tremaine McBride. Jason Swain, the intended receiver. Ainge did a great job when it looked like a certain sack, but an excellent job as well by Tremaine McBride.
This Ole Miss secondary had a lot of trouble last week playing the ball in the air, but what a job by McBride. And Ainge makes a beautiful move in the pocket to not get sacked, to free himself, but McBride fighting every step of the way. Watch Ainge at 6'6". This looks like a sure sack, backs out, and delivers a ball that he almost completes.
And a timeout has been called by Tennessee. The ball at the 36, 4th and 10. Philip Fulmer trying to decide what to do. Be a long field goal. You could punt. You could go for it. Back in a moment. After the Tennessee timeout, Philip Fulmer has his field goal kicker, James Wilhoit, on the field. He has a career long of 51. He's done that twice, including last week. It is a snap directly to Wilhoit and a pooch kick that goes into the end zone. A good idea, but they didn't get a friendly bounce. And I'm not surprised by that, Bill. David Cutcliffe talked about the importance of field position. He and Philip Fulmer cut from the same cloth. That's been a primary philosophy for both of them.
That's the only thing to do there. When they lined up in field goal, I had a funny feeling that that's what would happen.
What about in this matchup, Bill? These coaching staffs know each other so well, not just Cutcliffe and Fulmer, friends for 25 years, colleagues working together for 17. A lot of members of the staff know each other very well. Are there many secrets in this matchup?
Well, there are no secrets, but there's a little interior voice that speaks to you. This is what Chavis likes to do in this situation. This is what he doesn't like.
Randy Sanders, the offensive coordinator, so when we watch their film, just when they line up, we can call their plays. But it still comes down to players executing. And really the same is true in reverse. David Cutcliffe worked with John Chavis, practicing against his defense for many, many years. They know each other so well. They've seen a lot of what they're seeing on this field tonight before.
Yes and no, because what Cutcliffe has done is to change the tendencies with the various quarterbacks away from some of the things they did a week ago.
But a lot of what they do, what they did at Tennessee 6 years ago plus when Cutcliffe was there, the crowd doesn't like the call. Harrelson made the tackle on Brandon Jacobs, and it's a loss back to the 19-yard line.
Well, the crowd doesn't understand football. Football is a game of ball security, field position, and physical dominance. Okay, Ole Miss is not going to win the physical dominance part, but they can play some field position, punt the ball away, make Tennessee play the long field, and not take chances down here in this end. They want to get off this field with a score of 14-7.
Tennessee wants the ball back. Philip Fulmer out of timeouts with 1:41 to go in the half.
Most rear.
Tennessee out of timeouts. Ole Miss looking at 3rd down and 11 from its 19-yard line. You look for a pass to try to get the first down, or run some clock and punt.
Well, it's tough. You try the pass here, you risk a turnover, but if you give the ball back to Tennessee, they're going to have over a minute to operate out near midfield.
And it is the handoff inside to Brandon Jacobs. No gain on the play. Tempers flaring. We've seen a little bit more of that lately. Referee Jay Vines telling the Volunteers, just get back on your side. And the clock will run down near a minute, under a minute before they have to punt.
That's right. And Tennessee's out of timeouts, and can't expect the fans to sit and study football and understand all these principles, but this is exactly the right thing to do.
Nice job by Phil Fulmer calling the timeout after 2nd down and utilizing the clock when he's on defense.
That skirmish hurt Tennessee because it took a while for them to reset the play clock. As a result, it's still at 13.
Tennessee's been real lucky on resetting play clocks this year.
Derek Tinsley back for the punt from Ridgeway. The snap came at 2 on the play clock. Low tumbling punt. Returnable for Tinsley. And he swung down. We're almost down. Finally put on the ground at the 48-yard line, a 38-yard punt. 8-yard return and 33 seconds left with which to work for Eric Ainge.
We talked about Eric Ainge at the top. Big wins against Florida. The Engineers a win against number 3 ranked Georgia a week ago. Hasn't been totally on his game tonight. He's thrown some nice balls, but he's also had a couple misfires. Got away with one right there. Robinson didn't make the interception. And then Robinson another opportunity to take it the other way for 6.
Ainge 7 for 17 passing. Now 8 for 18. It's a screen to Cedric Houston. He's down at the 40. They have no timeouts left, and the clock runs down to 20 seconds.
Yeah, they're going to use a clock play here.
Terrific backside pursuit. I just got to say, Jamie Mitchell, 77. Wow, the big guy was flying.
And the pass incomplete. Thrown behind his fullback, Corey Anderson, who wasn't looking for it.
That's a wasted play right there. You might as well throw the ball to the turf. If you don't have a better play call down the field there, you don't pick up much throwing it to the back out in the flat, and also you risk an interception going the other way.
But if you're at Tennessee here, the nice thing about being over midfield is you can get and throw a big bin and get a shot at a touchdown, put 2 or 3 people out on one side of the field and throw it up.
Or they may take a crack, get the first down, tell their wide receivers to get down to the ground, and then line up for the field goal.
Ainge throws it deep down the middle. It is caught by Tony Brown, but that's halftime. The completion went to the 15-yard line, a 23-yard gain. Big half for Riggs, including a 21-yard touchdown run. Looked like Tennessee might blow Ole Miss out when they led 14-0 midway through the first quarter, but Ole Miss hung in there, cut the deficit in half, 14-7 for the Vols at halftime. Alex Flanagan's with David Cutcliffe.
Coach, you talk about takeaways. You emphasize them during practice. You missed 2 big opportunities in the last few minutes of this quarter. How much does that hurt you?
Well, we need to take advantage of every opportunity we get. They're a good football team. We've just played okay to this point. Hopefully we get the ball first, we'll do something with it.
You've known Coach Fulmer for a long time. How is this game differing from what you expected?
I don't see anything different. They're playing good, solid football, balanced offense, aggressive defense. They're doing about what we expected.
All right, Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
And very few surprises for these two teams with how well they know each other tonight. 14-7 Vols at the halftime for the College Football Game Day halftime report. Here's Matt.
Sean, guys, thanks very much. First trip to Oxford since 1988 for the Tennessee Volunteers. They've won 10 straight in this series, sporadic as it has been, and up 14-7. Should they be up by more?
Oh, absolutely. Tennessee should be running away with this thing, but they haven't taken advantage of their opportunities. They haven't put Ole Miss away, so Ole Miss is alive and kicking in the second half.
All right, let's take a look at the ACC. Florida.
Welcome back to Oxford, Mississippi. At halftime, Tennessee leads Ole Miss 14-7. Let's take a look at our Kia first half statistics. Tennessee with the edge in total yardage by virtue of their advantage through the air. They had 154 pass yards to 77 from the 3 quarterbacks for Ole Miss. Sean McDonough, along with Bill Curry and David Norrie, started out like it might be a blowout for Tennessee. Ole Miss did a nice job of getting back in the game.
The defense fought very hard, and what Ole Miss needs to do is to take Robert Lane, put him in the football game, and leave him, because he can do it all. And then I would change his first name, and I would use the derivative Bobby, and I'd get him to be Bobby Lane, because he can lead that football team. And the guy's got charisma, and he's tough, and he can throw it too.
And you see in a football game, it can change on one play. Half-knee the muff on the punt. Tennessee in control, 14-0. Now all of a sudden play calling changes for both teams. Ole Miss doesn't have to abandon the run. And if you're Eric Ainge in Tennessee, you got to keep your offense wide open, and that means the possibility of mistakes from your young true freshman.
As David Cutcliffe said on the way off to the locker room, he will have the ball first here in the second half. His offense will be first on the field as Tennessee kicks off. Larry Kendrick and Mike Espy back deep for the kickoff from Will Hoyt, and a good kick into the end zone. It'll be brought back by Espy, and he does not make the 15-yard line. Just a 13-yard return. We take a look at the Yamaha game track. The punt play very big in this game. Good for Tennessee, bad for Tennessee. The fake punt, Colquitt Mahanon, led to a Riggs 21-yard touchdown run on the very next play. But the muff punt by Jonathan Hetney led very quickly to the Ole Miss touchdown scored by Brandon Jacobs. It's Ethan Flatt to begin the second half at quarterback. He had the most pass attempts of the 3 quarterbacks. He was 3 for 9 passing. Lane was 1 for 2. Spurlock did not attempt a pass. Lane, as you said, seemed to provide them, Bill, with the spark when he was in there.
Well, he's a leader. I mean, he's just got charisma. You've either got that or you haven't. I compared him to Ken Wisenhunt. There's a reason Ken Wisenhunt is now the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This guy's going to do something special.
Are better suited to attack this Tennessee defense. That won't necessarily be the case the rest of the way for Ole Miss.
2 tight ends in the ball game now for the Rebels on 1st and 5. And the completion with a first down and a tough run after the catch by Martin.
Tight games like this.
There's Bill Flowers coming back from a deep bruise of his kidney. They thought it was lacerated. It turned out just to be a deep bruise. It's still serious, but not as serious as a laceration. Playing heavily padded. Spurlock in at quarterback. Pearson on the run. And some nifty maneuvering out to the 35. Here's Alex Flanagan.
Sean, I spoke to Coach Philip Fulmer during the half, and he told me that Ole Miss's quarterback rotation is giving his team an awful lot of problems. He says they never know who to expect in, and therefore they have been unable to really get a feel for a quarterback. He says when they expect the option, they get a draw. When they get a draw, they expect a draw, they get an option. So they just can't quite get a feel for him. They've made a few adjustments at the half that they hope will help. On his relationship with Cutcliffe, he says he knows him so well. Anything can happen. Expect some trick plays, he said, from both teams in the second half.
Spurlock continues at quarterback. Thank you, Alex. Pearson trying to turn the corner, and he cannot. Run down by Brandon Johnson, the safety. No gain on the play. It'll be 3rd down and 4.
You know, Pearson has good speed, and when your safeties can run like Brandon Johnson, number 38, you got a chance to shut people down. The play's bounced outside. Pearson looks like he's going to make the corner and at least get the first down. Wrong. Run down by Johnson.
Johnson's new to the position. He's just working in. And when he gets some more playing time under his belt, he's going to be a special strong safety.
Ethan Flatt back at quarterback. Goes for the quick throw and the catch. And a fumble. Flowers got drilled and lost the football. Tennessee has it at the 46-yard line. Jason Allen came up with the football. Flowers got leveled and could not hang on.
Perfect ball from Ethan Flatt. Tight spaces. And that is a big hit from Jason Allen. A converted cornerback. You don't see many cornerbacks hit like that. You know, the free safety position, they were having trouble tackling. Tennessee. They had to move him from corner to free safety. I'd say is a pretty good move.
Forced the fumble and recovered it to Jason Allen. And the ball's 1st and 10 at the 46. Under duress, Ainge throws it away. The Rebels came after Ainge. And he had to get rid of it quickly. They brought a blitz, and there was plenty of pressure from Corey Robinson, the defensive end, as well.
And a nice catch on the sideline by one of the Ole Miss coaches. I can't see which one it is, but showed excellent hands.
Not amazing numbers from Ainge early on, but another instance there where he showed discipline, threw the ball away.
Now those offensive linemen are sitting in the stance all this time.
Change the play. It's a run for Gerald Riggs down to the 43-yard line.
Any of our viewers that were offensive linemen understand just how much tension there is once you get in your stance. And when you sit in that stance for a long, long time, the muscles start to knot up and you tend to make mistakes. Tennessee's disciplined and they're used to it now.
3-yard gain for Riggs. He has 69 yards rushing to lead all ball carriers in the game. 3rd down and 7. Ainge can't find anybody open now. Throws it up for grabs, and he's fortunate that wasn't picked off. Over the head of Derek Tinsley. But he's very lucky. One of those red-clad Rebels didn't come up with it.
Ole Miss has made some defensive adjustments off that first quarter. The University of Tennessee was running the ball well. Ainge was having his way, making throws down the field. Give Ole Miss credit for the defensive adjustments they've made. They're shutting down the run, and they're also getting to Ainge in the pocket.
Chuck Driesbach, the fine defensive coordinator. Good plan, good adjustments.
Colquitt, a booming punt. Way too much boom. Landed about 7 yards deep in the end zone. 43-yard punt. Got a net of 23. Should have gone with the sand wedge. Back in a moment. University of Mississippi campus, Archie and Peyton Manning and Eli Manning back on the campus that he left just a few months ago. We saw Peyton Manning at lunch yesterday in Oxford Square. He said this was a picture he really wanted with Eli and the two coaches who were so important to him during his college career, Phil Fulmer and David Cutcliffe, who was Peyton's offensive coordinator at Tennessee, and then Eli's head coach here at Ole Miss.
And his mom, Olivia, the lovely Olivia here also.
A screen on the first play of this possession. Rashawn Pearson with a big gain, and then a flag thrown. Might be for a late hit out of bounds.
Great job by the big guys, Huey, Dewey, and Louie out there wallowing, knocking people around. That's so much fun when you're an old lineman.
Robert Lane is the quarterback. His first appearance of the second half. Rolls left, looking for a block. Didn't get it. Did make a gain to the 34-yard line. He picked up 4. Rashawn Fellows tripped him up.
Now, you know he has raw talent.
And he's got leadership qualities.
He had a remarkable career in high school in Louisiana at Neville High School. He handed it off to Brandon Jacobs, who got a yard, and that's all. As a parade All-American in high school, Neville High School in Louisiana, Lane passed for 6,782 yards and 64 touchdowns, and ran for 2,234 yards and 42 touchdowns. That's 108 touchdowns.
I would have hated to have been the tailback on that team. I would have never touched the football.
Well, that's real good, Sean. I mean, he did really, really well.
He did.
That's what they say down in Monroe.
His dad was a quarterback. And Lane called for a timeout. There's a big 3rd down upcoming when we come back. 3rd down and 6 for Ole Miss early in the 3rd quarter.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday Primetime. Brought to you by Wendy's Chicken Temptations. It's better here. And Kia Motors. Kia, make every mile count.
Second Oxford, Mississippi, the second largest crowd ever to see a game here, better than 61,000 on hand, and they're looking down at a big 3rd down and 6 with Robert Lane, the quarterback. Ole Miss at the Tennessee 33-yard line. Lane with a lot of time, but can't find anybody, and now he's in trouble and sacked by Paris Harrelson. Back at the 40-yard line. They've been playing without Jesse Mahalone on that front 4. He's been out with a sprained knee. And it's the first time in a while they've really harassed that quarterback in the backfield.
And Paris Harrelson by far is the quickest player that Tennessee has on the edge. And I can't imagine playing quarterback and seeing this kid as he comes off the left edge.
Yeah, but he was doubling. There was plenty of time to throw that football. Lane needed to get rid of it.
I can't imagine playing quarterback and facing that speed at defensive end.
Ridgeway to punt. And one of the men trying to down the punt for him, Tay Biddle, stumbled and fell. It looked like he might be in position to down that ball inside the 10-yard line. These are two excellent punters, but they've had a tough time. ESPN.
Kind of curious keeping Lane in on that 3rd down play, 3rd and long. Usually have Flatt come in as the passing quarterback.
Well, Riggs takes the handoff in 1st and 10 from the 20, and he gets 3, perhaps 4. He's the son of Gerald Riggs, 10-year veteran in the NFL, 3 times a Pro Bowler, who rushed for more than 8,000 yards for the Falcons and Redskins.
Tennessee coaching staff, as we take a look at Coach Cutcliffe. Tennessee coaching staff has always known that Riggs has had the vision, the burst, and the cutting ability. Hasn't taken care of all of his responsibilities over the last couple of years, and as a result, Cedric Houston has gotten a lot of carries.
Houston's been the leading rusher the last 2 seasons, but Riggs is emerging as their #1 ball carrier now. He's out to the 28. Tackled by Rob Robertson, the linebacker. One of the great students in college football. 3.94 grade point average as a pre-med student. He wants to go to med school when he's done. I like his chances of getting in.
I think he's got a shot. He's also the leading tackler on this team. He averages 6.7 a game. He's a tough guy, and he's a good leader.
I'd say he's scoring pretty high in his extracurriculars.
Well, they look at that at med school.
3rd down and 2. And Ainge out of the gun, and a bad throw. Blown away. Intended for C.J. Payton, who tried to make a diving catch.
Munoz struggling to get up.
He left last week's game with an injured knee. And he is hobbling off again.
Yeah, he's had that knee bruise, and it locked up on him last week.
What happens is the bursa sac pops, and you get a lot of swelling, and you just can't bend the thing. Looks like he's better now, so hopefully he'll be okay. And it certainly seems to be a minor injury, but if it gets real puffy, you can't get down in your stance, and that's what he said. I simply couldn't get down in my stance.
This Tennessee offense isn't okay right now. They are misfiring in the passing game.
Good credit to the Ole Miss defense, giving up big plays all year long, and right out of the gate tonight giving up big plays. But this is 6 straight possessions without scoring for Tennessee. Colquitt has his punt fielded on the bounce by SB, and he's tackled at the 36-yard line. Tackled by Kevin Burnett, their starting linebacker, out there on punt coverage. 45-yard punt and an 8-yard return for SB. His dad Mike was a cabinet secretary.
Covering punts, and he probably saved a long run with that tackle. I didn't see anybody else on the other side of the field.
Ethan Flatt is the quarterback. Alan Abrams has come in at tailback.
They may take a crack down the field here.
Abrams, a redshirt freshman. They like what he can do with the ball. He's still learning the protections and that sort of thing. The reason why he doesn't play as much as he otherwise might. Harrelson made the tackle. We head back to the studio and Matt Weiner.
Meanwhile, Florida State has wrapped up a surprisingly easy win over Virginia, 36-3.
And here in Oxford, the completion of
Underneath zone, what a throw.
We've seen some famous dads tonight from the athletic world, and Flatt's dad, Steve, is the president of Lipscomb University. And he throws an ill-advised pass and got away with it. Looked like it was going to be picked off by Heffney.
Give Flatt some credit. He shaded him to the outside, and Heffney really didn't have a shot to make that play on second look.
Jacobs threw a big hole. On second and less than a yard, he got the first down and much more.
And he's wearing some padding today. It's a gel padding that kind of wraps around him. Remember, your kidney is just right in your lower back, so a hit on either side can really hurt him, but hopefully not.
Robert Lane, and a nice catch made by Eric Rice. He looked like his uncle Jerry Rice. With
team gaining confidence as the game wears on. Tennessee's in a real dogfight now. This is a football game.
The Ole Miss team struggling to find confidence early in the year. But they opened 0-2. Lane handed it off inside to Lorenzo Townsend. They lost to a good Memphis team and at Alabama. They barely beat Vanderbilt in overtime here. Then went out to Wyoming and lost by 5 when they had 5 turnovers. But a win over Arkansas State, and then the victory last week over South Carolina, as David Cutcliffe said, has energized his team. He reminded his team, hey, we were 2-2 last year. We wound up 10-3 and won the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, and with one loss in the West, they're still in the thick of it. Things get a lot tougher in the schedule here late in the season for Ole Miss.
Third down and a long 4. Flat throws, and the diving catch is not made by Mario Hill. Good effort. Jason Allen in coverage, and here comes Nichols. Kicking with the sore toe. He missed one in the first half.
And we were down on the field, David, you and I, during warm-ups, and Dr. Veal, the team physician for Ole Miss, came up and very pointedly told us that Nichols' toe was just fine. He's having some pain, but he's able to kick the ball normally. Well, he didn't look like that on his first attempt. Let's see how this one goes.
A 42-yarder from the left hash mark. And that one is good. That looks like the field goal by Jonathan Nichols has Ole Miss within 4. They trailed 14-0. Their coach, David Cutcliffe, 17 years an assistant coach at University of Tennessee. Offensive coordinator, worked closely with the quarterbacks, including Peyton Manning. I think after a while he probably didn't need that tape with Peyton's name across the front of the helmet. Knew who that guy was after a while.
And you watch all his quarterbacks, and they're all drilled so well. The ball position in their hands in the pocket, the footwork, the faking. And you watch Flat. Some of these other quarterbacks, they look an awful lot like Manning, Eli Manning in the pocket.
And the kickoff goes into the end zone. It'll be a touchback. And obviously, Peyton's great experience and great relationship with David Cutcliffe made it very easy for Eli to choose Ole Miss when Cutcliffe was the head coach here, the place where their dad, Archie Manning, was a star and is a legend. The speed limit on this campus is still 18 miles per hour, which was Archie's number.
I liked your line on that.
All-American
Sean, you had a good line on that. It's a good thing he didn't wear 99.
I tell you, you don't have to worry about people speeding on this campus. There are a lot of stop signs, and you could spend all day staring at people in these 4-way stops. Brent Schaefer in at quarterback. First time for him tonight. Taking over for Ainge, and a loss on the play. The handoff to Cedric Houston and McKinley Boykin, their best defensive lineman.
Sitting inside, great talent at the tackle and the nose tackle positions, and they are very dominant players. This kid had a great game last week.
Bill, do you think they're changing it just to get Schaefer in, or does this reflect dissatisfaction, you think, with what Ainge is doing?
I think it's both. There's some of each. They need to get Schaefer in, but the other fellow, Ainge, is just not playing like he normally does.
Schaefer, the lefty. His teammates call him Michael Vick in an orange uniform. Ainge watching from the sideline now as Jason Swain took that quick pass and went to the 26-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 4. Certainly not great numbers for Ainge, who had been terrific the last couple of weeks. Schaefer from Deerfield Beach, Florida, grew up a Gator fan. Facing a blitz, and he is sacked back at the 25-yard line. Brian Lester at the bottom of the...
You can see that these two true freshmen are indeed confused when you give them a variety of looks on defense. Nice job by Ole Miss.
Weston Colquitt to punt. And a good kick fielded by Espy at his 28. And he's down immediately. Excellent coverage by Chris Hannon, a starting wide receiver. 47-yard punt and no return. With the appearance of Brent Schaefer in the game, as expected, we have now seen 5 different quarterbacks in the game for these two teams. Ole Miss takes over with Michael Spurlock, who's seen the least playing time of their 3 quarterbacks tonight. The junior from Indianola, Mississippi. Hands it off to Alan Abrams, the redshirt freshman from Orlando, out to the 32, a gain of 3.
Sorry, Bill. Neither team is getting much done on the ground here in the second half, and you start to get the feel that the quarterback or the quarterbacks in this football game that make the plays are going to be the deciding factor down the stretch.
Ole Miss, a decided edge now in time of possession. They survived a couple of quick strikes by Tennessee early in the first quarter, and it battled back into the game. Trying to set up a screen to Larry Kendrick, former Florida Gator. Dropped for a loss. Kendrick's been 2 years at Florida, then went to junior college here in the state of Mississippi, and then on to Ole Miss. He appeared in 13 games for Florida over 2 seasons. Spurlock comes out, leaving behind a 3rd down and 10.
This game has evolved into a field position contest. And when it comes to that, Tennessee has a decided edge in net punting, over 4 yards per net punt, even though both punters are excellent.
Ethan Flatt is the quarterback. Pearson, the lone back. They fake the handoff to him. Flatt avoided the rush. He's not going to get anywhere near the 1st down marker. And the ball is out, but the official says he's down by contact. Tennessee sideline didn't like it. Kevin Burnett made the tackle. It'll be 3 downs and a punt for Coach Cutcliffe's offense.
The Tennessee sideline was on tilt, looking for the turnover there. And Flatt in strange waters when he escapes the pocket and running out on the perimeter.
Now, David, there aren't many pinball machines left, so you need to tell folks what tilt is.
It means
it's
that
all
their
video games now.
It means tempers are running a little bit high, Bill.
Cody Ridgway to punt. Line drive kick. Derek Tinsley backed away from it. Took a favorable bounce for Tennessee back to the 37-yard line. 32-yard punt. Tonight, live from Shanghai, China. Mao, too. Him,
I didn't know Mao. Mao's getting old now. He's a little old to play in the post.
I don't think Mao's going to be at the game.
He has to shoot the 3.
The chairman's there. We have a scoop. Number 37. Out to the 39 goes Gerald Riggs.
Now, this is not the same Ole Miss defense we've seen against other teams. They're playing the best football team they've played this year, and the defense has decided to play their best football of the year, being led by the 2 defensive tackles. David, you mentioned that a few minutes ago, but those linebackers are playing well also.
And they're playing 8-man front, taking care of the run game and making things tough, but with the play of the cornerbacks on the outside. Well, Tennessee's going to have to hit some balls down the field in the passing game because they're not getting much done on the ground.
Schaefer stays in at quarterback for his 2nd consecutive possession. We've reached the end of the 3rd quarter, the 4th quarter to come, with a 4-point lead for Tennessee over Ole Miss.
ESPN.
Sean McDonough with Bill Curry, David Norrie, Alex Flanagan back in Oxford, Mississippi. Only scoring in the 3rd quarter, a field goal by Ole Miss that has them within 4 as the 4th quarter begins with an end around. And nothing doing. There was Chris Hannon taking the handoff and going out of bounds at the 38, a gain of 1 yard.
Coach, when you face an 8-man defensive front, you're always going to be outmanned on the weak side. And a lot of times, if you have trouble running the football, the only thing that's going to get them out of that 8-man front is hitting some balls to the outside in the passing game.
Absolutely. They got an extra tackler, theoretically, on every running play.
Schaefer might be changing the play, appears to be, with plenty of time on the play clock. Third down and 9. They rush 5 and flush him from the pocket. Schaefer throws way too high. Kelvin Robinson was putting the pressure on Schaefer. So another 3 and out. And you really have to give the story of the game to me, fellas, is the credit has to go to the Ole Miss defense.
The Ole Miss defense.
Red Bull in the first quarter, and it was a continuation of season-long problems. Suddenly they found themselves.
It has taken the starch out of this Tennessee team. It doesn't mean Tennessee's not trying, but we just showed a bench shot a couple of minutes ago. The guys are sitting over there. They're listless. The emotion is all on the red shirt side.
Colquitt to punt. Espy fielded at the 22. Found a little bubble in the middle. And goes to the 34. A 12-yard return of a 34-yard punt. Let's look at the Yamaha game track. All the touchdown scoring was in the first half. The opening drive of the night, taken 78 yards by the Vols. Jabari Davis capped it with a short run. Then after a fake punt was successful for Tennessee. Gerald Riggs, 21 yards in the very next play. Quarter to get Ole Miss within 4. That's the Yamaha game track. 1st and 10 with Spurlock, the quarterback. Play action fake to Pearson. Has a man open. Bad throw. Bad throw to Tay Biddle.
I don't know if it's the coaching staff or if the leadership of the Tennessee squad did it, but they went over there and they got everybody up off that bench where they were sitting sort of slouched, and they got them up on the sideline now, and they're going to be in this game. And what normally happens, the outmanned team keeps fighting, and sooner or later the more talented team makes a couple of big plays and puts the game away. Ole Miss has to start moving the football and getting something done on offense now to match their defensive effort.
You're surprised that it's Spurlock in the game. He's played the least of the 3, and he's been the least effective. And he is sacked. Back at the 32-yard line. Here's Matt Weiner.
Also about point with Spurlock, and he gave them a real spark a week ago, but you know, they're going with Spurlock, and they've gone with Lane in some situations that are obvious passing situations. And I think Ethan Flatt, the way he's played in the second half, got off to a cold start in the first half, but in the second half he's been very effective throwing the football. And here's Flatt again in the ball game. I think you got to give him a chance to get a few more plays and get a rhythm going.
Spurlock to the sidelines. 3rd down and 12. Flatt led their game-winning drive in the final moments last week against South Carolina. Here comes a blitz. He got away from it, dumps it off, and it's dropped by Tay Biddle.
Wow, Tay Biddle dropping the ball. Pearson has dropped the ball tonight. Several drop balls by the Tennessee, not only wide receivers, but backs. And that's the kind of thing that you're not going to get away with against a talented team like Tennessee. Those little things that lead to first downs, because that defense, as valiant as it has been, is going to get ground down sooner or later.
Now, you talk about little things. You need better ball placement from Flatt. That was a bad ball from Flatt. Still should have been caught.
Ridgway, one of his best efforts of the night. Fair catch called for and made. With a slight juggle by Derek Tinsley. 45-yard punt. The Vols begin at the 22, hanging on to that 4-point lead. Tennessee has done absolutely nothing offensively here in the second half. 4 3-and-outs, a total of 17 yards, and after 2 3-and-outs for the offense led by Brent Schaefer, Eric Ainge returns.
Yeah, Coach Fulmer with Schaefer on the bench. Schaefer's done some nice things as a true freshman, great talent, but remember, Ainge has been the guy to lead the team down the field against Florida and Georgia in the 4th quarter this year.
Hands it off to Riggs through a nice hole. He's out to the 29, a gain of 7. Gary Pack, a true freshman from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He made the tackle. He was Mr. Football in Mississippi last year.
And they feel like he has a great future. He had a nice blitz, even though he was avoided by Ainge earlier in the game.
Drisback, the defensive coordinator, has been telling the other linebackers, Pack is making it harder and harder for me to keep him off the field. He's been seeing more playing time lately and doing well with it. Ainge throws quickly. C.J. Payton breaks away from a tackler and gets additional yardage out near the 44-yard line.
That is big-time arm strength. That's a flat ball, very dangerous ball across the field, and not many young quarterbacks have the arm strength and the placement to pull that off. And Payton, one of the top runners after the catch at wide receiver in the SEC.
Return to Tennessee as a quarterback. Three wide receivers for Eric Ainge, the true freshman from Oregon. Hands it off to Riggs, who tripped right at the line of scrimmage.
Now, one of the things that has really set Eric Ainge apart early in this season, we mentioned the two had-to-have drives against Florida late in the at Athens, but tonight, give Ole Miss credit in the secondary and up front.
Changing the play again on 2nd and 11. And it's a draw up. There's a flag down. They're stopping the play. The run won't count.
And here, because he just can't hold his patience. He has to pop out of there. That's the cost of this kind of system.
Real trademark of Tennessee. How many times you see Peyton Manning walking around yelling out checks at the line of scrimmage? Quarterbacks do that at Tennessee.
Ainge on 2nd and 15. Got the penalty yardage back on the completion of Tony Brown. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
But they don't have Peyton Manning anymore, David.
No, they don't. But I think they have a kid at quarterback there that will be awfully good down the line, and he's been awfully good already this year. A tremendous talent.
And who might that be, David?
I'll tell you what, when you go down and you outduel David Green and the #3 team in the country, your true freshman, Green's an All-American.
Ole Miss showing blitz, moving along the line, and a lot of finger pointing.
This is going to go on Tennessee. Ainge was asking for the snap and didn't get it.
Ball start.
Time the center didn't deliver the ball when the quarterback wanted it.
When you're a team like Tennessee and you're running so many checks and audibles at the line of scrimmage, it really plays into defense's hand on the road.
Ainge intercepted. Brian Brown, touchdown. Ole Miss has the lead.
Critical thing that just happened is there's no celebration penalty.
And
The leadership
adds the extra point.
The leadership of the Ole Miss team rallied, got their troops off the field. No jumping around, no diving in a pile, no kicking off from the 20-yard line, which could be disastrous right here if they had to do
34
it.
yards on the interception return by Brown, who was once a member of the basketball team here a couple of years ago. First interception of the season. Remember when we talked with Chuck Drisback yesterday, you'll remember what he said. Said he used to be on the basketball team. He has some talent, but
This football team, the Ole Miss Rebels, got themselves out of the end zone without anybody taunting or doing a dance and getting one of those flags where they had to kick off from the 20-yard line. You can't kick off from Tennessee from the 20-yard line. That's great team discipline. That's coaching. Hats off to David Cutcliffe and his staff. So many times this year already we've seen games lost because of celebration penalties.
Well, this crowd is sky high right now. The Rebel players really feeding off it, too, on the sidelines. I mean, this is an excited venue right now.
Well, this is when football's fun.
Kickoff by Wesley Bryan. He's been handling the kickoffs with Nichols having an injured toe. Corey Larkins trying to find somewhere to go. And he will not reach the 20-yard line. Tackled by Kareem Moore.
Here's what happened.
And what a play by Brown, a game turner.
Ainge, the quarterback, 11 for 25, 155 yards and the interception. Cedric Houston, a hard-earned 3 out to the 21-yard line.
And I'm telling you, there's some pads popping down there. Rob Robertson, number 81. And I don't mean to imply that they haven't been popping all night, but there's extra knee bend, there's extra adrenaline available, really, to both squads here. If you're champion and you're Tennessee, you find a way to come back and take the lead again.
By far the best effort of the season for this Ole Miss defense that has struggled throughout the season and really struggled in the first 10 minutes of this game. Well, they've been almost flawless since. Houston for another yard.
Well, Bill, when you're a quarterback and you're operating against an 8-man front, one thing it does on the road, it forces you to make a lot of checks at the line of scrimmage. You have 4 defenders on each side. You're outmanned on one side. You'd like to not have to audible much, but Ainge is having to do that at the line of scrimmage.
And a couple of conservative plays deep in their own territory after the glaring mistake a moment ago by Ainge. They're operating carefully with him. He's changing the play. 3 receivers on 3rd down and 6. Little swing pass out for Houston. He lunges for the marker. They're going to give him a good spot. Kelvin Robinson the tackle. It'll be a first down. They gave him every bit of that lunge along the sideline, and he needed to get that spot for the first down.
What a nice call by Randy Sanders, offensive coordinator for Tennessee, and Ainge delivered the ball perfectly. It's what you talked about a moment ago, David. The ball was right here. It was right between the 3 and the 1, and turned it up to make the first.
3 wide receivers, and Cedric Houston remains the back. He's rushed for more than 2,000 yards in his career. Their leading rusher the last 2 seasons. But Riggs has done the bulk of the ball carrying tonight. It's Houston straight ahead for a yard. Tackled by Rob Robertson.
And again, against an 8-man front, there's a bigger load at the line of scrimmage. And you watch Ainge almost.
Under 9 minutes to go. Riggs has replaced Houston. He's lined up to the right of Ainge. And again, conservative with the handoff to Riggs. 1 more yard.
They really handle Georgia's defense. They have not been in this situation before, and this is where you learn.
Well, and if there is a silver lining, Ainge did face a deficit against Florida at home, and he did have a tough task in the second half in a tight game down at Georgia.
4 wide receivers. Ole Miss rushes 5. One-on-one coverage along the sideline. It is caught. Meacham out of bounds. Out of bounds at the 30-yard line of Ole Miss. A 29-yard gain. He just realizes they ruled him out of bounds. Reminiscent of the first half when the Ole Miss fans thought Lane had scored a touchdown, but he was called out at the 3. This time the UT fans thought Meacham had scored. Then they saw the official waving it back to the 30.
Guys like Kelly Washington, Dante Stallworth, Carl Pickens. Meacham has been mentioned by the offensive staff at Tennessee as having that type of talent. Beautiful fade ball by Eric Ainge and a pretty catch along the sideline. What footwork that Meacham used after the catch.
He may have stepped out of bounds before he caught the ball. Let's see. No, he had caught the ball before he stepped out. That's real good news for Tennessee, and what a marvelous recovery by Eric Ainge.
Now that was A big-time fade ball, and I couldn't believe he had the nerve to make that throw. A very low percentage throw with the room that Meacham had down the sideline. Great work between quarterback and wide receiver.
At the very least, they're in field goal range. Will Hoyt has the leg to make one from here. Back to the run. And nothing again for Riggs. Eric Oliver, the safety, up to help against the run.
Meacham working down the sideline. And if you're forced out of bounds by the defensive back, you can come back into the field to play. If you step out under your own energies and you're not an eligible receiver.
Ainge throws quickly, juggled by Tinsley, and almost intercepted. Rob Robertson went diving for it. After it clanged off the mitts of Tinsley, it'll be 3rd down and 10. Are the officials saying Robertson got that? The crowd just roared. No, it's an incomplete pass.
No, he
they
didn't
talked about it.
He didn't catch it. Driesbach, the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss, mentioned that we just have had so many opportunities for interceptions and we don't seem to make them. That's the 3rd one tonight that was not claimed. And of course, the one most notable, the touchdown catch by Brian Brown, was caught perfectly. You could see his basketball background.
Ainge has to be careful not to take a sack here. They're very much within range for Will Hoyt.
2 receivers bunched tightly to the line of scrimmage on the right. Ainge lofts it deep down the middle. Man open. Diving catch. Touchdown. What a catch by Brett Smith.
And how many times this year, going back to our discussion with Coach Griesbach, the defensive coordinator, how many times this year, as he lamented, they've just gotten behind us and we just blow our coverage and we act like we don't know what we're doing.
You can't figure on a quarterback making that kind of play many times during a year against you. He checked 2 or 3 receivers before coming to the post route.
And the extra point is up and good. James Wilhoit, where they played so cleanly on defense through most of this night. Another bust at the wrong time, and a great catch by Smith to put Tennessee back on top.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday Primetime. Brought to you by Jeep. Trail-rated capability. Only in a Jeep 4x4. And Taco Bell, home of the Big Bell Value Menu.
Back on top after a terrific diving 30-yard touchdown catch by Brett Smith, the sophomore from Warren, Arkansas, with his team leading 5th touchdown reception of the season. Ainge excellent on the drive. So now Wilhoit will kick off. Larry Kendrick, Tay Biddle back deep. It's Biddle with great speed. Flag down. Back at the 10-yard line, Biddle down to the 20. And after these flags, it's likely it's going to have to be a very long march for Ole Miss.
Blocking it back, number 32 on the receiving team. At the distance to the goal, 1st down.
Now here's it. We can see everybody on the field. You're going to see Eric Oliver. He's supposed to drop into the deep middle here. He's supposed to stay deeper than the deepest. What happens? Here comes Smith, and the minute this happens, Oliver freezes. He's beat. It's all over. And the young quarterback located the post and made a perfect throw.
Watches Ainge's eyes. I mean, usually you don't throw a post route as a second choice. He looked outside and has the peripheral vision. He did this on the first drive last week against Georgia on a great touchdown pass on a post ball in the end zone. He did it again tonight.
Ethan Flatt begins this series at quarterback from the 6-yard line. Under 7 minutes to go. Flatt throws it out. A short gain to Mike Esther. He almost was able to turn the corner but couldn't get away.
Ainge did it against Florida. Did it last week against Georgia. The fade ball down the sideline to Meacham, set up the drive, and then another big play. This is the best talent, Bill, I've seen as a freshman at quarterback since I saw John Elway in the late 70s. I think he has that type of presence and physical ability. He is a special quarterback.
Second down and 8 from the 8. Trying to set up a screen. It's Rashawn Pearson. Nice call, gutsy call from that deep in your own end.
This would be a very different game. But Burnett, Gaither, been all over this football field, sideline to sideline, making beautiful plays just like that.
Wow.
Well, last week when they needed to drive and score to beat South Carolina, they stayed with Flat throughout the game-winning drive. He stays at the controls and gives it to Pearson. It bounces out to the 25, a gain of 4. Justin Harold, a sophomore from Martin, Tennessee, made the tackle.
And we talked about Ainge's ability to lead his team back from a deficit. Coach Cutcliffe knows that Flat has that ability as well. Against Vanderbilt, 13-point deficit in the fourth quarter. Last week, game-winning drive. Flat has to be the hero late here for Ole Miss if they're going to get it done.
3 receivers. Balls bring a blitz. And Flat is flattened back at the 11-yard line or the 16-yard line. They came on a blitz and Jason Mitchell destroyed Flat.
Very clever stunt that freed up Mitchell. They brought an extra man off the open side and there weren't enough blockers. The back stepped up and picked up the inside guy, which freed Jason Mitchell, 35, to come off the edge. And again, he showed that amazing acceleration, and he's the 3rd Tennessee linebacker that we can talk about that can just absolutely get it. David get it is a Southern term. He's coming off the back from he's got a guy blitzing in here. He's coming outside and there's nobody to pick him up.
Robbie Harris, their starting left tackle, has had injury problems this year, limped off. He missed 3 games earlier this season. 3rd down and long, 14 for Flat. Throws behind the intended receiver. Tate Biddle wasn't even looking for the ball. And he was in space. Had he been looking for it, it looked like he was open. But it's a punt upcoming for Ole Miss with time running out on the Rebels.
Problem on 3rd and 14 for Flat there. You have to have time in the pocket to allow your receivers to get depth, to get vertical. Carlton Neal, coming off his defensive end position for the balls, made sure that Flat did not have that time.
Cody Ridgway will punt for the 7th time. Derek Tinsley back at the 46. Ball should get excellent field position. Good kick. And Tinsley cannot escape. Excellent coverage by Tate Biddle. 44-yard punt. And nothing on the return. 4.5 to go. 14th ranked Tennessee leads by 4. 4-point lead and the ball for Tennessee with 4.5 minutes to go. Eric Ainge has with the line 1st and 10 from their own 40-yard line. And the handoff to Gerald Riggs. He's ahead for 2. Very nice bounce back by Ainge after the disastrous interception gave Ole Miss the lead. He led the go-ahead touchdown drive. There is a flag on this first play for the Vols.
In the game, it's gut check time for this offensive line and the blockers for Tennessee and for the defensive front people for Ole Miss. They got to get a stop here.
3 wide receivers, no tight end. Riggs the tailback on 1st and 20.
He's going to have to hurry here or spend a timeout.
They just did get it off with 1 on the play clock. And the play worked well. Riggs bounced outside, got out to the 39.
Eric Ainge doesn't get his eyes around, gives up the lead to Ole Miss. Big mistake, but he's got the nerve of a Beverly Hills burglar on this last drive. I mean, he made some super throws, and primarily this fade ball to Meacham. Looks late to the post for the touchdown.
Beverly Hills burglary.
They've got a lot of nerve out there, Bill.
A BHB. Wow.
Higher ticket items.
Play clock at 3 as they snap it. Riggs starting to find some running room. Out to the 47-yard line, and a very big 3rd and 2.5 upcoming for the Vols as we tick down to 3 minutes left.
And even bigger is the way Tennessee got to 3rd and 2.5, because they've called 2 running plays coming off a 1st and 20, and here they are with a chance to convert with a reasonably short yardage.
Eerily reminiscent of Peyton Manning. Ainge maneuvering at the line of scrimmage like a veteran, letting the play clock down to the final seconds. First down for Riggs. They had 1st and 20, and with 3 runs certainly caught Ole Miss off guard. They convert to keep the ball and run more time off this clock.
Unblocked man on the weak side. They count on Riggs to make him miss.
Yep. Ole Miss needs to start taking their timeouts right now.
And they will after each of the next 3 plays here if they need to. They're going without a first down through much of this second half. Tennessee has converted its last 4 third downs. 2 tight ends in the game now. Riggs to the 45. Ole Miss needs to use a timeout here. And so far, no indication they will. Coming up next on ESPN2, College Game Day Final. Reggie Bush, the Heisman Trophy candidate.
Ole Miss with 2 timeouts remaining. They've elected to wait until after 2nd and 3rd down. I like it, like you said, Sean, after 1st down, because you might get an incomplete pass on 2nd or 3rd down from Tennessee.
Absolutely. I think it's a big mistake.
Ainge snaps it at 1. Riggs to the 42, or check that, it's Houston. Tackled by Oliver. And here is the timeout.
5 seconds.
1:21 to go.
Sorry, Sean. 5 seconds ran off the clock then before the timeout was called. We've seen an extremely well-coached game by a brilliant coaching staff here at Ole Miss. But the misuse of timeouts and allowing those precious seconds to run off are not good signs here.
Must-stop situation here on 3rd down. Let's check in with Alex.
Well, Sean, Eric Ainge seemed to have no trouble shaking off his earlier interception. That's actually one of his brain characteristics. When Eric was in 6th grade, his Uncle Danny sent him to a specialist, a brain typing specialist, who did a little research into him and found out that his personality was most conducive to playing football. Up until then, his parents did not want him to play the sport. After the test, they decided maybe he should play quarterback. Now, the brain type is one that is often found with many quarterbacks in the NFL, and might not be surprised, you guys, to find that brain type is also shared by Peyton Manning, John Elway, who, David, you've mentioned, Ainge looks similar to, and Dan Marino, just to name a few.
Well, Ainge said he thought about playing basketball, but it's stress fractures in his feet. He said, I don't think many colleges want a slow 2-guy.
I'll tell you what, he was a heck of a player at Glencoe High School in basketball, and I think his father and Danny Ainge, his uncle, weighed in on that decision. Said, hey, you got a much brighter future at quarterback. I think they're right.
Big play here, 1st down, just about seals it for Tennessee. His Uncle Danny still using that brain typing to evaluate prospects for the Boston Celtics. His role as GM, it's somewhat controversial. Houston is stopped. They should use the last timeout, and they do. With 4th down and 2 upcoming.
You gotta love the Ole Miss defense. Coming off embarrassing performances earlier this year, they fought their hearts out here to give their team one more shot at a possession.
4th down upcoming. We'll be back in Oxford, Mississippi right after this. 4th down and 2, and Tennessee lined up to punt. Brian Brown is back for it. He was the young man who intercepted the pass and ran it in for the go-ahead touchdown. Mike Espy, ordinarily their punt returner, but he's been bothered by an ankle problem for the last week or so. We haven't seen him for a while. Very high kick by Colquitt. The Rebels hope it goes in the end zone. It will not. It's down at the 2-yard line. No, now a touchback, the officials say. They had a great chance to down it. It looked like they had inside the 2, but Omar Gaither couldn't rescue it.
Well, for that to be a touchback, the ball has to break the plane. In the NFL, if a player touches the football and the player is in the end zone, it's a touchback, but it's the position of the ball in college football. Let's take a look and see if the ball indeed did break the plane. Initially, it looked like it did not. And there you see. Wow. A Tennessee coverage man slides into the end zone, breaks the plane with the football.
Copeland had trouble with the footing on this Astro play service. What a big difference from the 2 to the 20. Flat throws it to a Volunteer defender, and it is intercepted by Brandon Johnson. His second of the night, and that should seal it for Philip Fulmer and the Volunteers. There wasn't a red shirt anywhere near where that throw came down in the arms of Johnson.
He was trying to hit Kerry Johnson on a seam route up the middle of the field and overthrew it by a good 8-10 yards. You know, and from the 20-yard line with over a minute to go, clock stops in college football. You have plenty of time to move the football down the field and get a touchdown. Part of the learning process for a young first-time starter taking over for Eli Manning.
Philip Fulmer said competing against David Cutcliffe is like competing against my brother. And those who have competed against their brother know sometimes that's the fiercest competition of all. And this was a great battle tonight between the two longtime friends who first met in 1979 when Cutcliffe was an assistant football coach in high school in Alabama. Fulmer was an assistant recruiting that high school for Vanderbilt. They wound up together on Johnny Major's staff. Remained together when Fulmer ascended to the head coaching job and Cutcliffe became the offensive coordinator. They talk regularly, at least once a week generally during the season. And the Volunteers are going to survive a real battle tonight.
For Ainge, 3 victories in tight games down the stretch against Florida, Georgia, and now Ole Miss. We're seeing a star in the making for Phil Fulmer.
Tennessee remains in control of the situation in the SEC East with the victory. Once again, the final score of tonight's game, the Volunteers 21, the Ole Miss Rebels 17. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Now it's time for College Game Day Final. For Bill Curry, David Norrie, and Alex Flanagan, Sean McDonough saying good night. From Oxford, here's Reese Davis.